Hi, Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and hey, it's time for our Wednesday Live. I am ready to show you a new technique. It's a new fancy fold. It's a new tutorial. It's called a shadow box tutorial, and there it is. We're going to make a shadow box, and it's going to fold flat, and it can be mailed like this. So it measures 5 by 4. So 5 by 4 is the size of this card, but it will pop up and it can turn into a shadow box, and it's not hard to make, so we're going to make that. So what I'm going to use, and this is what I was doing, is I was cutting out my deer, or a stag rather. So what I did is I wanted to cut my stag, and I used my framelit, and you have to be really careful, because what happens is my plates get bowed, and when they get bowed and you push them through the big shot, sometimes they push your framelit around and you don't get a cut that's right next to it kind of slides over. So it's just something to be aware of. But I also cut out 2 extra pieces, because what I'm going to do is I want to kind of build up this piece a little bit, and I'm going to open up a brand new brand new glue, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to put these extra pieces on, and it's just going to kind of build up our stag a little bit. He's a little bit thicker. I don't want to use the foam adhesive backing, because I don't want to put him totally on flat on something. I just kind of want to make him a little bit thicker. So there he is. He's a little bit thicker, and that's kind of what I want. So I'm going to put him aside, and I'm going to make sure I don't lose my dies. I'm using the Wishes and Wonder to cut the stag, and I'm using the dies also, and that's what I use to cut out my little stag. Okay, the next set I'm using, and I just want to kind of show you, is I'm using these stamp sets, and I think I'm also going to use this stamp set. Okay, now I'm using the Still Scenes, because if you can tell by this card, I have a little house in here. So I want to use this little house, and I'm going to use some stamping blends. I'm going to use these trees right here, and this is the snow front. And I'm going to use In the Pines, this one right here is going to be the background right here for my stag. And then I'm going to use a sentiment, and I believe the sentiment I used was this one right here from Wishes and Wonders, that says, "Wishing you the happiest season of all," and that goes right on the top, and I used embossing powder for that. Okay, so those are the stamp sets that I'm going to be using. Now the colors that inks I'm going to use. I'm going to use the your regular Memento Black is what I use to stamp my stag, but I'm going to use this gray, and this is your basic gray. I'm going to use the basic gray to stamp my backgrounds back here, because I want those to be kind of far away. I'm also going to use for my trees, I'm using Shaded Spruce, and I may use a little bit of Garden Green, and I'm going to use a sponge dauber because I'm going to make my snow is going to be a balmy blue, or rather balmy blue and pool party. So it's really going to be pretty once we put it all together, and we've got an hour to do it. So I'm just going to take my time and walk you through it. So now I'm going to get my board. I'm going to lay my paper out like this, and I'm going to score. I'm going to score at 1 inch. I'm going to score at 1 inch. I'm going to score at 5 inches. I'm going to score at 6 inches. And then I'm going to score at 10 inches. Then over here, I'm going to score very lightly at 1 3/4. 1 3/4 right there. And it's not going to be as hard as I scored there. So it's going to be kind of a light score. And then I'm going to score over here at, I'm going to go and score at 4 1/4 very lightly. And then I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to score at 3/4, and it's just going to be very lightly all the way down, just to the front. I'm not going to score the back. Let me show you. I'm scoring just to this first line here, and then I'm going to go and do 3/4, which is going to be 3 1/4 right here, and I'm just going to score down just to this first score line. So then if we were to fold it, you're going to see that we have, and let me see if you can see it this way. You can kind of see the lines. I have, we're going to score these lines, we're going to fold these lines here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold these folds, the one I did at the 1 inch, the one I did at the 5 inch, and then the one I did over here at the 10 inch. Okay, and this is basically what I just made, is I made a box. Okay, but if you can see very lightly, and I'm going to draw this in with pencil, very lightly, I have a line that I scored right here, and a line that I scored right here, and then I scored a line right there, and I scored a line right there. Okay, what this is this is 3/4 from each edge, and this is where we're going to cut out our window. This is going to be our window for our shadow box. So I'm going to need a good cutting mat. I'm using a heavy steel ruler because all I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up right here. Okay, I'm going to line it up right there. Can you see the box, Catherine? Yes, it would be easier to see if they were with colors. And what I could do is let me show you the colors. Let me show you the colors on this side. So here's where our lines are here. This is the inside of our card. Okay, so here was 1 inch, this was 5, this was 6, and this was 10. All right, and then this is 3/4 of an inch to build your box all the way around. Okay, that's how you score your paper. Does that help, Catherine? Okay, and there it is. All right, and if anything's kind of rough, just smooth it out a little bit. You know, grab your scissors and just kind of trim it, and you can kind of smooth it out. But there's our window. Okay, let me move back out. Yes, yes. So the box is, and I'm going to turn it around so you can see, it's 4 by 11. Okay, we scored at 1 inch, 5 inches, 6 inches, and 10 inches. And then on an edge that we're going to use for our shadow, this is 3/4 all the way around from that fold. So that's 3/4 of an inch all the way around, and then we cut that out. Okay, so that's our window. And you know, I'm actually going to kind of make this a little rough here. That look kind of cool. I'm just kind of going across, and I'm just going to kind of, and I'm going to grab my trees, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp, and I like this stamp right here, and I like these little trees right here. So let me pull those out. Let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'm taking, they're kind of like the, this line, and this line. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this one here, and then I'm going to put this one here, and then we're going to get, actually I could put this one, nope, I'm going to put that one there, and let me get another square block for that one. Okay, so I have my three trees right here. Now I have the color kind of, because this is two-step stamping. I'm just going to put those away for now, and I'm going to get my shaded spruce. And let me show you how I did this. You see, I basically just put a couple of trees here, and then I put trees that kind of wrapped around the corner of my box. So it's flat right here, and this is going to be the bottom. So I'm going to turn this around because I'm going to stamp it looking at me. And I'm just going to grab this big one here, and I'm just going to put this one right here. And let me grab a, let me go ahead and grab my sheet here since I'm using photopolymer. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put this one here. And I'm going to put this one here. And then I'm going to put this one here. Okay, so I went ahead and I've got three trees that I stamped around the ender. And then I'm going to take this little one, and I'm going to do this little one, maybe right here. And I can always use maybe these. Right about like that. Okay. Okay, so there's the front of my card. Now I'm going to grab my garden green, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, I'm going to put the garden green on this one. I'm going to stamp off, and I'm going to do that one right there. Then I'm going to do the garden green on this one, and I'm not going to stamp off. I'm just going to do it. Now see the difference? I did the stamp off and the stamp, and it kind of gives it a little bit of you begin to kind of see there is foreground and background when I use the stamp and then I stamp off, and that's kind of what you want to create. So that's kind of a neat little trick to do. So I'm going to take this here and I'm going to do the same thing. Since this was a stamped, I'm going to stamp off and do that one. And then here it is, stamp off right there. Okay, so, and then I'm just going to go ahead and there. So I just kind of added some trees. So I can go ahead and put those stamps aside. And now I'm going to take this stamp set here, and I kind of like this this squiggle right here. So I'm going to grab that squiggle. All right, I'm going to put that squiggle. I'm going to grab some, I got two blues. I have Pool Party, and that's what I'm going to use for the sky. But for the snow, I'm going to use Balmy Blue. So I'm just going to grab this squiggle right here, and I'm just going to kind of do a stamp off right there at the bottom of my trees. Stamp off, and it just kind of gives me a little bit of what the snow would look like. Okay, so there's the bottom. Now I'm going to grab a I'm going to keep this on this block because I'm going to want to keep that. Now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab one of these roller things. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in like this. Okay. And I'm going to grab my Pool Party right here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to get some color, and I'm just going to apply it right here to the edge of my card. And I'm just adding that in there to the edge of my card. Okay, and you can kind of see. Then I'm going to grab my sponge dauber. Let me get a sponge dauber right here. And I'm going to grab my dark blue that I made the snow. And I'm just going to kind of work it like that. Okay, kind of make sure I kind of get the edge like that. I'm just going to let that blue, so it just kind of looks like that's kind of coming up a little bit. Okay, and that's our snow, and then we have a very faint sky. All right, now we're going to set this aside for now, because the next thing you need is you're going to take a same piece of cardstock. We're going to take this, this very vanilla. I'm going to cut a piece 4 by 4, and this is what's going to make our back. This is what's going to make the back of our card right here. Okay, so now we're going to do this scene. So I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to do the same thing now. I'm going to get my Pool Party. I'm going to build my sky. So we're just going to go ahead and let's kind of build our sky. I'm just running it along the top of my paper. Okay, the blue for the sky is Pool Party. That's what I'm using right now. See how light? It's a very, very light, it's the lightest blue that we have. And I'm just doing this half of our paper. Okay, so that's Pool Party. Now I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to use the same sponge thing, and I'm going to use Balmy Blue And now I'm just going to go like this, and I'm going to do the bottom of this. And I don't want too much. I just want enough that I have a little bit of a difference. Let me just move in so you can kind of see. This is where I spread all the pool party, and then I just put a little bit of balmy blue right there. Because now I'm going to take my basic gray. I'm going to take this house, and this is from the Still Scenes. So we're going to grab that stamp. I'm using basic gray. I'm going to stamp my house. I'm going to stamp my house right there. There's my house. Okay? Now I'm going to take, this is my horizon line because you know what I did? I stamped it upside down. I stamped, this is the balmy blue, and this was the, oh my gosh, I stamped, oh well, no worries. I meant to stamp it like that, but I stamped it that way. All right. Oh well, no worries. It's not gonna ruin anything. All right, so let's put that back. And now let's grab, I'm gonna take the trees, these trees right here, and this is the snow front set. Let me grab these really cool, these are the same trees that I used for Halloween. And I'm just going to stamp these trees. I'm going to stamp them. I'm going to stamp them here, and I'm going to stamp one right there. Okay, see how that, look how pretty that looks. And then if I really wanted to get, I could lighten that up, and I could stamp maybe one kind of in the background like that. Okay, isn't that pretty? Yeah, I could kind of do a little bit of a forest. See that? Isn't that pretty? Okay, so there is our background, and it really doesn't matter where the blues were, right? I mean, it's all good. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to grab my balmy blue. Okay, that's the blue for the snow. Balmy blue. I'm going to turn this around. And remember this little squiggle that I have here? I'm going to grab this squiggle, and I'm going to do the same thing I did. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to squiggle it there, and then I'm going to squiggle it there. Okay, and I'm going to squiggle it there and there. Do you see that? All I did was I just squiggled it down to create. I just kind of added a little bit of the dark. I turned it upside down, and I'm just adding some of the dark blue right along my horizon line. Do you see that? Now I don't have anything there. So again, I'm just going to grab this stamp, and I'm just stamping right here along the horizon line so that I have blue go all the way across, and then it kind of fades out. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, I'm done with that. And then what I did is in this, okay, it's not in this one. Let me find, in this one right here, there's a couple of things you're going to need in this stamp set. This is the snow scenes. There are these itty bitty little birds that you're going to pull out, and you're going to put on this itty bitty little stamp. Okay, we need these birds, so let's put them there. And the other thing that we need, oh, here's the other one, is we have these little deer. See these little deer right here? We can put these little deer on another little stamp. And I can take this gray again, and we can kind of stamp off, and we could put the two deer. Look at that. We have two little deer right there. Isn't that pretty? Okay, and then we might want to put our birds. Let me make sure I get my birds right. Okay, my birds go like this. We might want to put some birds right there. Okay, we got a couple of birds. Now, let's color the house. I think this is shaded spruce. And all I did is I kind of did this tree. This tree's got some snow on it. Okay, let me pull in right here. Now this tree's got some snow on it, so I'm kind of doing where the snow isn't. Okay, do you kind of see that? All right. And that's really all I need to do. Then I had my crumb cake, and I'm going to take my light crumb cake, and I am going to just do the wall of my house like that. Okay. And let me just go ahead and, okay, that's light crumb cake. Go around the windows because I have something planned for the windows. All right, there's crumb cake. Now grab a yellow and this is just a yellow Stampin' marker, and put the yellow inside your windows like that. All right. And then take the dark crumb cake and just kind of go along the eaves of your house like that. Okay, you see how I'm just kind of going underneath the eaves? Then I take my light crumb cake and I use that pointy end, and then this is where you blend. You just kind of go in there and you just kind of squiggle the lines just to kind of blend it a little bit like that. And then for my door, I took bronze and I just went ahead and did my door like that. Now, for my house, I did grab some light balmy blue, and all I want to do is I just kind of want to get the edge of my house roof, because my roof does have some snow on it, okay? Because then I take my Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of blend it all together, and it's going to be nice and shiny. And I may want to put some Wink of Stella over here, kind of along these, and I think you can kind of see that? See how pretty that is? And I may want to put, and you see when you mix the Wink of Stella with the ink, you see how it's kind of pulling some of that color? So there. Now, this is what I love about these pens. Now, first let me pull out, because I think this is really cool. These are the jelly pens. I've talked about them before. They're white, and they come in two sizes. I'm going to take one of these jelly pens, and then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put I'm putting some white. Do you see the white kind of showing up? Because this is blue, I'm adding the jelly pen kind of as a white accent. You see how I'm even doing it on the roof? I'm adding it as a white accent so that it kind of stands out a little bit, because remember I did use all that, I brayered it with the blue color. And I just love, and you can just kind of run, look how pretty it looks when you run it along this blue here. It looks, see that? Isn't that pretty? So it's going to give it a little bit more, if you look at it, it's going to give it a little bit more dimension. Okay. So, so that's really pretty. Now I'm just, and this is kind of, I'm being like kind of futzy here. I'm just going to kind of do this tree right here. And it's really no big deal. It's just to kind of add a little bit more because these trees are kind of standing out here. But there you go. This is my balmy blue. I'm just going to kind of blend this a little bit. Okay, so there's our scene. See, that really was not hard to do. That was actually pretty easy. Okay, so now what we do is we take our card, and here's our card, and this is where we pull out, this is where the magic is. You just put this inside your card and look, there it is. There's your box. Isn't that pretty? And now I'm going to add my deer. I can add my stag. I can add him right here, or I can add him over here. Wherever. And because I put those extra pieces of cardstock, he's nice and sturdy, and he's going to hold well. So now let's just open this up and let's grab some glue, and let's just go ahead and glue this nicely. Now this is the most complicated card I've made using this technique, and I thought about what I wanted to show you tonight, because I have another one that I'm going to show you that's not very complicated, but it's something that you can very easily do once you kind of get this down. So don't let oh my God, did you see that? I did it upside down. Here I am working upside down, and okay, yes, there it is. Okay. But it's really not, this really is an easy card to make. And that's why I kind of like to show things that are not hard. Now I'm going to go ahead and it's important that you kind of get these end pieces nice and tightly scored, because what we're going to do is I'm going to now take, I'm going to decide how do I want my thing. I don't know. You can see, let me pull in so you can see how pretty this is. Isn't that pretty? So now we have to decide, I'm just going to lay it down. Where do you think I should put the stag? Should he go there? Or do you think he should go here? Somehow I think he should go there, only because I've got my two other maybe they're little doe. It's kind of neat when you can tell a story. You can tell a story like that. What do you think? Let me know what you think, because now we're going to add our sentiment up here. I'm going to emboss it in gold. And that's why I haven't put this card together yet. I'm going to lay this flat, and I'm just going to make sure. Oh, I know what I want to do. When I lay this flat, I want to take my gray. These are my birds. And I'm going to turn this around so I can see what I'm doing. But I want to put some birds. Look, there's the birds. Doesn't that just add, it just finishes it off. Yeah, I agree. I think the stag covers the doe, so maybe I'll put it on the right. But let's go ahead and grab in this one, okay, Wishes of Wonder. I'm going to pull out this stamp set right here, the stamp, and let me get a long nice long block. I'm going to put that there. And that's going to go, it goes perfectly right there. It goes perfectly on the top. So let me pull in my little, I have a little drawer of my embossing stuff. So let me grab my little embossing buddy and I'm going to pat it down. Now there you go. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so let's see. I heard that it should go on the right side. Okay. So that's what I heard. That is the right side. And this is going to fold like this once we finish the card. It's going to fold like that. So that's why they usually put the little doodad over there. But I think it will go good. It's going to have to go right there. Is that right? Yes. Okay. Cynthia says yes. Okay. The outside of our card. Isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. And it's not really hard. So now we're going to put it together. Now the way I put this together is I use a piece of tear tape and it's going to go folded like this. Okay. So let me show you. So you're going to take this and you're going to fold it like that. Because this is going to be folded flat like this to mail, you want to make sure that this edge is scored really well. So let me take this out so I can just make sure that this is scored really well, because I'm going to put the tear tape is going to go right here, and then I'm going to bring this down, and it's just going to lock in place, and that's how you want to put it together, and then it will automatically pop up for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the tear tape on. Okay, so there is the tear tape. So now we're just simply going to fold this flat like that. Okay, there it is. It's folded flat. Now look, it's going to pop up and be your box. So there is our shadow box card that we just put together. And you know, this was very vanilla ink. Okay, I mean very vanilla paper. So Catherine, if you're taking notes, this is where you need to know that this was balmy blue, all right, and then this was the pool party, and I used the brayer. I used the brayer to do that, okay, and then I stamped the trees out of shaded spruce. And then the inside, I stamped and stamped off. You see how this is dark and then this is light? Okay, I stamped and stamped off with garden green. And then we kind of pulled it around the back, so it's kind of pretty like that. And then we used that textured stamp from the snow front. And then isn't that pretty? We did the really pretty embossed in gold, and then we have the little birds, all right? And then inside, isn't that pretty? You see the little deer right there, and then you have the little cottage. And then look how pretty it looks with the white. See how that white comes out? It really kind of sets it off. Now you look, notice in the back, we stamped, and this was with the gray, and then we stamped off to kind of give it a little shadow of a tree back there, and then we still have more birds. So that is the card we just made. Here's the card that I made. This was the first card. And I kind of like that I used the Whisper White here and with the Very Vanilla, because it made it kind of stand out. This one I made with Whisper White. Let me just pull this out just a tad because I want to get both those. This one I did with Whisper White, but the directions have you stamp right on the box. See, he stamped right on the box, and then I had to cut around, and then I had to use I can't think of the name, where you put the Post-it note over it so that you don't, to stamp the trees. So I thought it'd be a little bit more effective to basically just cut him out and put a couple of pieces of cardstock so he's nice and stiff. See, he's nice and stiff. Because this one, see, he's not as stiff. He's just a piece of cardstock. Anyway, I did the same thing. This is Balmy Blue. This was Pool Party. I kind of stamped around. And then the inside, I did the same thing, only I kind of put the house up on a hill. So so that was a little bit different. Okay. Now, are you ready to see some more cards that I've made using this technique? Yes, the birds are gray. Yes, the birds are with the basic gray, okay? Everything is stamped in basic gray except for the stag, which is stamped in Memento Black. And that's because I really want him to stand out. And everything else is kind of like a scene. Okay. Let's look at what else you can do. Here's another card I did. Okay. And look at that. I just used, now let me see if I have the pieces here. I can't think of the set I used. I got a whole stack of stuff here. You probably recognize, and I put the trees. I cut, and everything here is a gorgeous grape. I used a little raspberry, and then this is Highland Heather. This was white cardstock, and I did the same thing as I used a brayer so that I could brayer, and I was just trying to do something different. Okay. Now, so that was another effect, and that was late last night. I was putting that one together. But here's my favorite one right here. Let me show you this one. Look at that. How about that? Now this one is so easy to make because all it is DSP. I just wanted to show you some different things that you could do with this neat technique called the shadow box technique. And let me see, I think I don't have anything else to put out. So, let me see. Hey, so, oh, look at that. I have paper in my hair. So this is Kat Chancellor from Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com. I hope you like our neat little card that we made. Please let me know if you have any other ideas that you want to put together. Watch my Stamping Fusion Facebook site. I'll be posting stuff as we go through our onstage at home. And I'll see you here. Stay well. I'll see you here next week with another tutorial and some ideas for putting together another stamp. So Kat Chancellor, Stamp Art Connections, and stampartconnections.com. Happy stamping. Stay well.